This episode is brought to you by our friends at Brooks Blooms, your all-in-one landscaping solution.
Brooks Bloom's three-step landscaping experience offers a seamless journey from design to construction and ongoing care, ensuring your outdoor space thrives year-round.
Visit brooksblooms.com today to embark on your landscaping journey, where every step is a step towards a vibrant and beautiful outdoor entertaining space. Welcome back, everyone, to another massive episode of the Ads and Dunks podcast. Round one is in the books. Not technically the first round of footy, but for me, first round of footy, seeing as though all the teams played. Our man, Joshy Dunkley, best player on the ground in probably the closest game for the round, which was exciting to watch. And as always, joining me, my best friend. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, thanks, mate. Not sure I was best on ground. Zach Bailey probably had a better game than me, kicking 4 snags, but it was a good win by us. Massive round of footy. And yeah, as always, it's a pleasure to be here, mate.
You're underselling yourself a little bit there, mate. You were clearly the best player on the ground from what I've seen. I've seen right up until about the last 10 minutes because I was actually had a guest speaking thing at the president's function at our game, which I've never done before, which I don't like doing because that means I'm not playing. But from what I've seen, you were clearly the best player on the ground, and you did get 9 coaches' votes. I was hoping you got the 10, but you got the 9 coaches' votes. So not that you care. I know that you don't care because you care about the win, and that's the most important thing. But don't undersell yourself, mate.
No, I'm not underselling myself, mate. It was a good win by the boys. And I think, the best thing about it was that we had a lot of guys that stood up. Obviously, Lockie Neal got tagged, which we'll probably go into later talking about the game. But it was a cracking win for us and, yeah, good way to start the year. My first 2 years at Brisbane, we've actually lost round one. So for the first time, we've won round one and, off to a good start.
That is actually, yeah, I wonder what my record is. Off the top of my head, I could probably think. I reckon I'm 1 and, well, I didn't play this year. So 21, 22, 23, 24. This is my 5th year. I'm 1 and 3, I reckon. Yes, I am, because I won my very first game. You and I won our first, against the Maggies, and then I've lost every round one after that. Well, that's a cool stat. Outside of that, mate, how was your week? Obviously, it was a little bit, interrupted. You went to Sydney early, got to spend some time up there. No doubt you would have seen your uncle and caught up with some people, but how was it?
Yeah, it was. It was a bit of a different preparation, but I'm kind of glad that we did it because it threw out all the, factors like I talked about last week on the potty. We weren't sure whether it was going to rain here or flood, and all the grounds were in average condition. So to be able to go to Sydney and train there, and the weather was incredible. So a few days up there, I actually went and watched Michael Zarafa fight on the Wednesday night, I'm fairly sure it was. And we did a podcast with him a long time ago. So it was great to be able to support him that night. And he got the win by a knockout, which was pretty cool. And then, the other days just sort of trained as normal. And then we made our way to the game. So I did catch up with my uncle and cousins and got to see them. Went out for dinner on Thursday night, I think it was, for a nice steak up the road from their place. And other than that, mate, it was pretty quick. It felt quick. Good few days in Sydney. But like I said, the weather was incredible and we were able to get to the beach and some recovery places as well. So all in all, it was really good fun with the boys. Good to get away again and, good to get the win.
All right, speaking of steak joints, mate, firstly, what was the steak joint that you went to in Sydney?
I'm not sure. It was a pub. I'm not sure. I'll have to Google it. It wasn't anything fancy, though.
Because I wanted to give you an update on remember how I told you ranking my favourite restaurants?
Mm-hmm.
So we've gone to 9 total restaurants for the year that are worth ranking. So my top 3 at the moment is, Rockpool Bar and Grill.
Yep.
So we rank it out of 20, Kim and I, so it's 10 each. So obviously score out of 10 each. So we gave it a 19 out of 20. And so when we went 2 weeks ago, I told you, obviously Brooke's there and she looks after us. We basically got all the best things on the menu, and mate, it was incredible. And I've always rated it. The first time you took me there, I absolutely loved it, but this experience was just epic. Second, 48-hour gnocchi, that pizza pasta joint in Elstonwick.
Oh yeah.
I reckon I gave you a rundown on that on one of the early episodes. And third is a joint called Ho Tran in Springvale. It's a mixed like Asian cuisine joint. It has all the Asian cuisines, like Vietnamese, Chinese, bit of Thai in there. Unbelievable.
Don't mind it.
So there's my little update. So we've got a little update for you for when you come to Melbourne, whenever that is, and we can go to one of those places. But you did make a good point before. We're going to do our Brooks Balloons of the week to start our episodes, because we do find ourselves talking about, our bloom of the week throughout the episode. And when we leave it to the end, it's probably not as good. So I feel like I've gone first the last couple of episodes, or the 2 episodes. I reckon you go first this time, mate.
Yeah, well, as you said, this is my bloom of the week. So thanks to Brooke and the team for always supporting us. But my bloom of the week, mate, and it's probably going to be the same as yours, but it's the Richmond Football Club. And I wonder if Brado's sitting there thinking he could guess that. But that's my bloom of the week. I just think that it was one of the greatest wins of all time. Like, in terms of being up against it, against all odds, no one would have picked them. And to come out and win with a young group that they had is just incredible, especially against Carlton, who are highly rated this year. And I just thought it was very impressive watching on Thursday night. Technically the season opener after opening round, but massive crowd at the MCG, and the young Tigers got it done. So they're my bloom of the week.
So yeah, good minds do think alike. That was going to be mine, but I want it to be different. I don't want to have the same one. So yeah, you've just stolen my thunder, but I did have a backup, and I think it's a very good backup. My bloom of the week is Tom Liberatore, and the reason why he's my bloom of the week is his first game that he's ever captained for the football club. He was able to run out there and lead our boys. And reason why he's my bloom of the week is because for those who've obviously followed the Western Bulldogs and Tommy's journey, and even just the history of his family, it's such a big deal for Tommy, and for him to be able to lead the boys out. Well, yes, we want Bonty out there, but to have Tommy lead the boys out, it just shows how far he's come in his own journey. And there's no one more deserving to, one, be our stand in captain whilst Bonty's out, but 2, be able to play behind a player like Tommy. So he's my bloom of the week.
I like that one, mate. That's a special one, not only to Libber and his family, but the footy club as a whole. So I'm sure all the fans out there would love to hear that from you. But I touched on my week. What about you? What have you been up to, mate? How's your week been? Obviously, another week in reconditioning.
I like the quotations. Another week in reconditioning. I'm feeling good, mate. I'm flying around. I feel great. Another training session tomorrow, which would be good. We got a short turnaround, so I'm trying to fit in as many training sessions within a normal week as possible. So I got a big one tomorrow, which is good. But in terms of my week away from footy, it was actually a really good week. On Sunday, we celebrated Georgie's 5th birthday. So wasn't actually her birthday. Her birthday's this Sunday, but we had her birthday party on the Sunday, and that was quite fun. We had it was dress up for the kids who came along, but there was about 4 of us adults who dressed up. Kimmy went as the Pink Power Ranger. I went as Dash from The Incredibles, as I told you last week that I would, which I got some great recognition for. They said I looked very similar. I tried to slick the hair back a little bit like Dash did, but I don't think that had too much success. But anyway, I'll take the positive feedback that I largely had. And then Charlie and Cooper, they both dressed up as well. Charlie went as a those huge bobbleheads that you can get where like you've basically got to hold the head to keep it up. So it's like there's the outfit, and then there's the head part of the costume is massive. Anyway, he went as Michelangelo from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And it's one of Georgie's favourite characters. So, mate, it was a great laugh. The only thing that was disappointing is, mate, the weather. We legit went from 40 degrees on Saturday, where there was heat rules in place for the footy, to raining from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. at night, torrential rain, Jumping Castle was out the back. So that was kind of ruined for us. But the day in itself was a very, very successful day. So that was the highlight of my week.
We love that, mate. It's great to do that for Georgie. I'm sure she was pumped. She would have had a great day. But was there anything else that footy-wise this round that caught your eye, or did you think anything was worth talking about this week?
I mean, there was obviously the big one probably from our game, Luke Cleary. And, look, we had two boys go down, Luke Cleary and James O'Donnell. Unfortunately, both got concussed. So that obviously rules them out for this week. And, our thoughts go to those two boys, and obviously spoken to them and seen them both. So they're both doing really well, especially Clears. You would have seen his incident. His incident was pretty crazy, mate. So in real time, it was almost like the stadium was just super quiet and no one could really believe what they had seen, because it was just such almost like a traumatic thing to see, because we just didn't know what had happened. So there's been a bit of talk about that, more in regards to Archer and, whether he should be sanctioned or not. And I actually don't know, because I know he challenged it, and I think it's happened as we've been speaking.
He's still got 3 weeks, so it was
upheld. So there you go. I think that's kind of been something that's been a little bit interesting, because again, like watching it in real time, we've both spoken like historically that taking into consideration, you want to take in, the malice, obviously the carelessness, and whatnot. And watching that in real time, it was like you didn't really see that. You could see Archer wasn't trying to hurt Cleary. Or at least I thought that he wasn't trying to hurt him. So, in that regard, you think, oh wow, like 3 weeks. But I totally get it. I understand, because of the sport, and because of obviously the way that we're trying to stamp out almost recklessness. Anything that happens to the head of an opposition player, I totally get it. But yeah, it was pretty crazy to see. What was your thoughts on that from a player watching it, not actually there?
No, it's interesting, because I had a similar type of event on Saturday in our game, where I come down to get a ground ball and Amadi comes from the other way and got me high, but I got a free kick. But apparently on the broadcast, they were saying that I shouldn't have gone to ground to win that footy, because that's the action that we shouldn't go below the knees. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So I don't know. I feel like Archer, obviously, like you said, I agree with you. Everything what you said. He definitely didn't mean to knock Luke Cleary out. Like, you just don't mean to do that kind of stuff. And he is stiff, but I guess it is a result of where the game's heading. Like, we're trying to protect the head and make sure that, that type of thing is out of our game. But sometimes I also see the other side, and I'm like, well, as a player, each week you go to battle, you know that something bad can happen to you. So in that regard, like when I go down to get the ball, I know well and truly I can be knocked out. Like, it's just part of the game. But you just continue to do it, because that's what we're there to do. So yeah, I always think, I look at those things and terrible result of what happened to Clears, and I hope he's going okay. But at the same time, you feel for the other guy on the other end that definitely didn't mean it. And, now he's out for 3 weeks. Like, 3 weeks can actually impact your whole year. Like, you're going to be not playing footy for 3 weeks, and it's not just a light ban of 1 week or missing half a game. It's actually 3 games, like 3 proper games for a young guy like Archer. Like, who knows how that impacts the rest of his year and, where he's at with his footy. So I wish them both all the best.
Yeah, and same, again, what you said, I totally agree with. I agree with, thoughts are always with the player, and being close to Clears and being one of his teammates. That's obviously the first thought, is making sure that he's okay. And, it's funny because we do, like, Bevo's touched on this. We touched on it on AFL 360 yesterday, but like, boys had no idea how, Clears was going, because obviously he wouldn't have had his phone and whatnot. But within the window of finishing the game, and then the next day having to come into the footy club and do the review, he'd already logged in and done all his, we do like an award for, the players play basically. So he did all his criteria and stuff. So it kind of showed, where his headspace was at, and the fact that he could obviously remember and whatnot. So as you said, thoughts always with the player, but yeah, obviously feel for both of them. The other thing that I wanted to bring up, because there was a few of those, I guess controversial stuff that happened throughout the games, but I wanted to touch on a player that, we never really talk about recruits to new footy clubs. I don't think we've ever really. And the impact that they might have. And obviously, you've been one, I've been one, but we haven't really spoken about others. When I was watching our game on the Bulldogs. So when we played on the Saturday, I was obviously in the box watching our game, but on the top right there was the Collingwood Port game. So I was kind of watching both games, and there's a player that Collingwood signed, Dan Houston. Mate, he is a star. I mean, I've always thought he was a star because you come up against him, you see how he plays. He's such a great offensive player, but I feel like he's a great defensive player as well who gets underrated in many ways. But to then see him debut for Collingwood, the way they played last week to this week, and look, I'm not saying it was totally him that changed him, but mate, I don't know if you've seen any of that game, but he is a freaking superstar, man.
Yeah, I didn't see any of the game. I did see some highlights and a lot of people talking about how Port let him go for not much in the end. Like, yeah, he's a ripping player, as you said. Every time you come up against him in Adelaide, like you'd see him play on Adelaide Oval and think, shit, he's a pretty good player. But now to he's playing at the biggest club in the AFL, or biggest club, I guess, in Australia, you could say, arguably. But he's all eyes are on him. So it's going to be massive to see how he progresses. And I feel like his game style, the way he plays, really suits Collingwood. So it's going to help them a lot enormously.
I agree. And the other thing I loved for the round is I loved the amount of first gamers that looked absolutely at home. There was so many first gamers, whether they were 18 or whether they were a couple of the Melbourne boys who are mature ages.
Yep.
They all just looked at home. I mean, picking the NAB Rising Star round one nomination would have been incredibly hard. Even your teammate Levi, mate, he was awesome as well. He was very stiff not to win it, but at the same time, Lawler. So I believe it's Sam Lawler, not Layla. I think I've been saying Layla, but Sam Lawler. His game on Thursday obviously warranted a NAB Rising Star nomination. So, yeah, I love the games of a lot of first gamers. Well, what about you? Did you have anything catch your eye, or did I just take everything?
Nah, you just took everything, mate. But there's one other thing I want to mention it was actually in Jack McRae's 250th. So congrats to Nader on his 250th. But the Adelaide Crows are very, very impressive. And I think that I know a lot of people are now jumping on the bandwagon, but I remember I tipped them in the preseason or the week leading into opening round to say that they're going to be very good this year. And yeah, the way they played on Sunday afternoon was a testament to that. I think they're going to be a ripping side this year.
I agree, mate. I couldn't agree more. They look so slick. Like their offense has always been really good when they're a very good side. So they are a very good side, but when they've been a very good side consistently, their offense has been extremely slick. And, mate, as soon as they turn the ball over anywhere, well, definitely forward half, but anywhere within the middle of the ground, it was almost like they went and scored every single time. So, no, I agree with you. But it was an exciting round of footy, wasn't it? It was an unbelievable round of footy.
It was. Yeah, a couple of close games, obviously ours, and the Carlton game was close, and then the Giants Melbourne game came down to one of the last kicks of the day. So, yeah, good round of footy, and it's only getting better next week, mate.
It is. I do want to mention as well another ex-teammate who I'm super glad and happy that he's successfully returned, and there's been a lot of attention on him, and that's Bailey Smith. He obviously played on the Saturday Arvo against Freo, and boy, oh boy, he did not look out of place whatsoever. I mean, he's always been a real dynamic, run up and down the ground, meters gain kind of player. And yeah, he was on fire. I watched the second half really closely because I had a bit of time off, and looking very good. He's going to be a very good pickup for them.
Yeah, I look forward to coming up against him in a couple of weeks. I think we've got him not this week, next week. So that'll be good fun against the big Baz.
Hey, I wanted to outside of the AFL, I wanted to see how your coaching's going. How's it going with your junior footy?
Oh, mate, you won't believe what's happened up here. So, I said it's in the AIC competition. So we played the first 4 games of the year and we won all 4. So 4-0 we were. And then the cyclone came. So they called that Friday off, which was going to be against one of the better schools, I'm fairly sure. And then the week after got called off because the ground's too wet. So this week was meant to be our 7th game of the year and potentially like a grand final.
Yep.
We're not playing it for points anymore because they've just been like, nah, don't worry about it. No points are on offer. We're just going to call it there. So we're playing a game, but it's not for any points.
So then, wait. So where's your season at then? Are you guys like is this the last game?
Mate. This is our last game. Yep. And then there's potentially like a schools cup thing that happens in the winter, which is where all the best schools from around Queensland, I'm fairly sure, play like a round robin thing. And we might be playing in that, but I'm fairly sure that this is our last game this week in the ARC competition. So we're not going to be able to win it because they've cancelled the points. You just don't get any points for this week.
So, firstly, that's disappointing. I know I can imagine the boys would be frustrated being competitive because they're year 12 students, aren't they? Or are they younger?
Yeah, it's 10, 11, 12, yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's disappointing.
So this week's like the last game for the year 12, so I'm going to have to play. I'll play all the year 12 boys majority because it's their last game and they want to go out with a bit of a bang and kick a few snags, hopefully. I'm sure they'll love
hopefully. How have you found it? Is it something that you reckon you'd consider doing? I know it's been your first first taste of, I guess, coaching and taking the reins. Is it something you've enjoyed?
Yeah, no, I do enjoy it a lot. I actually, initially I was like, shit, this is actually quite hard to, game day and stuff. You got to go in, you got to make your speech, you got to make sure all the boys are all prepared and, quarter time, half time, 3/4 time, post game, you're making your speeches and that kind of thing was like a bit of a shock to me. But all the training and that's like similar to what we do now, like at the club. Like I'm still helping all the young guys out at the footy club at Brisbane I'm talking about. And then, you go to the training on a Tuesday and Thursday and it's like doing the same thing. So the boys have been awesome. The school's been great. And I've really enjoyed my time there so far. It's been really good.
Do you take any of the drills from work to the boys?
Oh, 100%. All the drills that the boys do. Because it's not only me, it's Hodgie as well. Hodgie's there. So Luke Hodge has been at Brizzy and he's got all the game plan and stuff from us. So all the drills that we do are all that identical names, identical the way we do it. So it's all a bit of fun. But yeah, I've really enjoyed my time, mate. You're doing the same thing with your boys, aren't you?
Yeah, no, I am. I love how we're both doing it. It's something that at the moment, it's been probably my favorite thing to do, obviously, because I'm not playing and, I'm kind of just in a holding pattern at the moment in terms of playing. So I've been really looking forward to getting out on the Monday. We train Monday, Wednesday. So, I have so much fun. I was thinking, I kind of reckon I would already know what kind of coach you would be. You'd be cool and mellow and chill and real positive, which is the best thing about you. But I reckon you would like snap. Like if players weren't listening, probably more. I reckon if they weren't showing you the respect that you deserve. Have you had any moments where you've actually had to have a crack at the boys?
Oh, have I had any moments? I've had a couple of moments because it's like how it's a school footy team and you always hear about what's going on at school. So, a couple of boys might have been late to class or something and I always get fed down that information. So I've had a couple of times where I've had to stand up in front of the group and be like, X and XYZ, like you boys were late to class, like give us a reason why. And then I'd say, oh, because you've done that and you're not behaving at school, you're going to start off today.
Wow, that's huge. No way. How did they take that?
I hated it. I had to talk to them after and stuff, but I was just, that's the hard side of me, mate. I'm trying to build that, it's not demanding, but it's just trying to have high standards. And I think, you want your footy team to be well behaved, not only at footy, but at school as well. So that's a little example of something like that. But I haven't really snapped in terms of boys aren't listening. I'm like, hey, what are you doing? Are you listening? Yeah. What did I just say? Yeah. That kind of thing. That's Hodgie. I'll leave that to Hodgie.
Oh, that's so funny. I could picture that. And it's a good point. I feel like it's something that any aspiring coaches out there in junior footy ranks, like that is really important. It is really important to, they're there to play footy, but you want them to have, I guess, let's just say they work hard at footy, but they're rat bags at school, basically. You want to be able to, if you can have a 5 or 10% impact in just them being a little bit better, then that's a win. And that's part of the reason why I enjoy coaching these boys. And that's the same as me. So what you've just said is exactly the same as me. And believe it or not, like I'm the total opposite. Like I don't snap at the boys whatsoever. The worst that I would be is if I'm explaining a drill and they don't listen to me, which happens a lot, mate, because these Noble Park boys, they're there's a couple little rat bags in there, but they're good kids. I love them all. But that's I couldn't agree more with that. It's a really good standard to set for these kids, especially the ones that, put all their eggs into the footy basket when reality is, most of them probably won't end up eventually getting drafted, whatever it may be. Not most of them. I mean, that's probably a bit harsh, but you just got to make it, I guess, real for them in a way where they've got to be able to get their balance right. So, no, it's cool. Yeah. It's cool. I would love to one day coach with you, and I don't mean at the elite level. I mean at a junior level where it's like under 17, like 16, 17s, where they're transitioning into footy, mate. I would have so much fun with you.
Mate, why not at the elite level? Why don't we coach bloody an AFL side together?
Because there'll be everyone says coaching's harder than playing, the amount of stress levels. I mean, that's something I guess it's worth mentioning as well. What I've been doing in my time away from playing is I've done a bit of coaching with the VFL. So the last 2 weeks in a row, our games, I've been on the bench. I've coached the midfield on the bench and I've had the headset on. And obviously that goes directly to the head coach. And our head coach is Stuart Edge, who I know you know very well, and Alex Johnson, who's the forwards coach, is in there, and Ben Reid. And mate, you have to be on from minute 1 to minute 120. And I just don't know if my attention span has that, or being able to sit there and listen to the amount that they're talking. At times I have to take my headset off and just be like, oh, I need a break here. This is crazy.
No, it's not. It's not. I actually think it's good. I like the element of being able to voice what you're seeing on the field. Like we do. You would do that in games when you start playing soon. Like at Laurie's, we do that. Like we're talking in the coach's box about, making a move here or changing this or whatever's happening there. Like you find that you're just voicing what you're seeing essentially, and you would see a lot because you know the game well.
Yeah, I do agree. I do agree. It's just obviously the stresses of
the stresses,
AFL,
yeah,
versus under 17s Noble Park football. That would just be fun. You and me coaching that, because I love doing drills, right, where let's just say it's a basic, I don't know, we'll go like a 5v3 keepings off drill. So 5 on offense, 3 on defense. And you see it at the club. So you see the boys do it at the club, and you see the high level, the skills, you see, how well it can be done. And then you go to under 17 and you just watch every second ball's hitting the ground. Like they don't know how to, it's just really funny. And I get a lot of enjoyment out of that, because I feel like that's where you can teach like little intricacies in terms of the skill side of the footy, where at AFL level, like it's obviously these boys that play AFL obviously know how to kick a footy. They know how to handball. They know how to mark. So it's little things like that I get excitement out of. So picturing you and me doing that would be quite funny. So maybe one day we can do it. But let's just wait a few more years for that, mate. You've definitely got 5 or 6 more years. I've probably got only a couple. So we won't see. We move on to the week of footy this round, unless there's no more footy you want to talk. Oh yeah,
we've got to do our 3-2-1, our Brownlow equivalent, which we still don't have a name for. But we've got to do our 3-2-1 from the weekend's games. Do you want me to go first? Because I've already got mine lined up.
Yes, I do want you to go first.
So my 3 is Dylan Moore from Hawthorn. He's unbelievable, that bloke. I think the way that he works his backside off, and just to see the unrewarded running that he does, but then he's getting rewarded at the moment for all that hard work that he's putting in. So he's my 3. 2 votes actually goes to big Toby Nankervis from Richmond.
Yep.
He was massive on Thursday night, and coming up against Tom de Koning, who, I don't know, jump wise and vertical leap and attributes kind of thing would head and shoulders be higher than what his were, but he's just got that pure grit and that, some people would say he's got that dog in him, and he just fights tooth and nail to bring the ball to ground and have an impact for his team. And I thought he was really important for the Tigers and help them win that game. And then my one vote is Toby Green. I just think he's just similar to Dylan Moore. Like, he just does some freakish things that, always help the Giants and the way they want to play. And I thought he was awesome on the weekend too.
Mate, your three are basically my three, but I'm going to give you a vote in there. So I'm sorry to Dylan Moore, respectfully. He's one of my honourable mentions. He is a star, mate. He's the poster boy for small. I guess if you want to call it the small forward, but small high half forward who gets up and down, as you said, plays probably the toughest role in football. He does it at such a high level. He's a joy to watch. But I'm giving my three to Toby Nankervis. I agree with you. I feel like he was enormous. He was easily, in my opinion, the most influential player on the ground. He kicked 2 goals. He's competing was unreal. My 2 votes is you. I'm going to say you because I love you and I'm biased. But you've had, I don't know if you had a quadruple double, whatever. No, you didn't have the 10 marks, but you've had a ripping game. I don't even need to look at the stats to know that you had a blinder. And my 1 vote is Toby Green. And again, similar to the Toby Nankervis, I feel like if Toby doesn't play, the Giants don't win. And that last quarter in particular where he actually went on ball, he hasn't played on ball for a long time. And people forget in his first 2 years, and that was when I was there, he was a midfielder and he would have 35 a game. So, yeah, Toby Green's my 1. So, respectable, honourable mentions. I'm going to chuck in the Gold Coast midfield, those 3 boys. So, Miller, Anderson, Rao, they were unbelievable. Jordan Dawson, Isaac Rankin, they had an awesome game, especially Rankin. Rankin is a freak. Ed Richards felt like he was incredible. Ed Richards had an enormous game. Obviously, I mentioned you. Bailey Smith had an enormous game as well. And Jai Caldwell from Essendon, who I felt worked his absolute arse off for them all game. And he's a serious player. Very, very good player. So they're a couple of my honourable mentions.
Like it. I think Jai Caldwell's, you'd love to have him on your team. He's one of those guys that just does literally everything for the team and works his backside off, as you mentioned. But let's move on, mates. Let's move on to this week, round 2. It's going to be a massive week starting on Thursday night with the Blues v the Hawks, which is a massive game for both teams, but more importantly, probably Carlton.
Oh, mate. Yes, it certainly is for Carlton. Freaking, I know I can imagine. Did you get news? So, you weren't in Brisbane. I wonder if you would have got, sports news about Carlton up in Brisbane. Do you reckon there was? Nah. The only reason I'm saying that is because they were everywhere Friday night, just about, fans trying to, freaking just going hard for him. And you know what? Obviously a very disappointing loss to Richmond. You always got to give credit where credit's due. Richmond obviously were far too good. Those types of losses for teams it could either go one way or the other, I believe. And what I mean by that is it could be the kickstart or the reality check that you need to really kickstart your season. So I'm fully expecting Carlton to come out and have a red hot crack on Thursday, which is only 2 days from now. I just think they're coming up against a team who have to be one of the 2 favourites for the premiership. And I know it's only 2 rounds in, but their footy's been unbelievable. Unfortunately, I think Hawthorn will beat Carlton. But I reckon Carlton will come back and put up a real good fight. And it'll be an unreal game. I reckon there'll be 85,000 people there.
Yeah, there will be a lot of people there. It's going to be a massive game. I'll go against you. I'm going to tip the Blues.
Ooh.
You said it yourself. It can either go one way or the other. And I think they'll get Charlie Curnow back. And I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I think they'll get him back and they'll bounce back from what was a very disappointing loss last week. So there you go.
All right. Well, we'll see then, mate. We'll see come Thursday. Next game.
Yep.
You're running us through this, mate.
Yeah, next game's your game, so we'll leave that. Saturday at 12:20 is Essendon versus Adelaide at the MCG. You got a tip there?
I'm excited about this because, again, Essendon played well enough last week. Like they played very good. They played well enough to really convince, I reckon, a lot of people that their good foot is very good. They got a very good midfield. I love their midfield. I feel like with Jai Caldwell playing the way he is, helps him. MCG too. But Adelaide, you know what? I'm going to say Essendon. I'm going to go Essendon.
All right. Well, I'll go against you and say Adelaide because Adelaide are my team for the year to be jumping a lot of others. Next game is Port Adelaide and Richmond at Adelaide Oval.
Imagine if Richmond get up and win this. I think I'm going to say Port Adelaide again. They obviously were disappointing last week. And at home, they're very hard to look at your smirk. I reckon you're going to say Richmond, but at home, they're very hard to beat. So I'm going to go with Port.
Yeah, I was tempted to do Richmond here, but I just think similar thing to the Carlton Footy Club. I reckon Port will bounce back, and they would have been very disappointed. I'm fairly sure I've seen a few things around their news in Adelaide and stuff like that, and they had a brutal review. And they'll bounce back this week, I feel, over the Tigers. Moving on to St Kilda versus Geelong Saturday night at Marvel Stadium.
Whew. Well, the way that Geelong played, and it'll ring in my ear for the rest of the year. When you said to me when I did my prediction, and I had Geelong on the fringe of being in the top 8, and you were like, mate, I just can't believe you don't have Geelong in the top 8. And I feel like, I want to change it because watching them on Saturday, they were incredible. And I reckon they'll obviously win this game. I reckon Saints will bounce back. They obviously have to, but it's a pretty scary proposition watching them play on Saturday the way that they played, especially against a team like Freo, who a lot of people, and even I do, believe that they're going to be a very good side for the rest of the year. So I'm going to pick Geelong.
Yep, I'll pick Geelong too. Sunday games, first one's ours. The next one is North Melbourne versus Melbourne at Marvel Stadium.
Well, again, we've said this for a year now. Like North Melbourne are they are up and coming and are a very good young team with some really good experience that they brought in. I reckon this will be a ripping game. They play Marvel very well, North. And again, Melbourne were very good. It's so hard because it's round 2. You've got 1 week basically of footage. So, I'll go an upset. I'm going North Melbourne.
Wow. Okay, I'll go the D's. I think the D's will be too strong. They probably should have won that game against the Giants on the weekend, and we all know the Giants are a great team. So I think the D's will bounce back. The last game of the round is Freo versus Sydney at Optus Stadium. Another cracker.
Well, this is huge because if Sydney don't win this, they obviously go 0-3. So based off that, I'm picking Sydney.
I'm with you. I think Sydney will beat the Dockers. Like coming up against the Swans on the weekend, they threw everything at us, and they're going to be a really good side this year. I'm not writing them off to miss finals or anything like that. I think they're going to be a really good side, and they've got the makeup. They've got a few guys out that are really important to them. Goulden's one of those. But I just think that they're just learning about what it's like to, sort of be challenged. They're not winning games like they did at the start of last year by 10 goals plus. They're losing close games. And I know myself and even us as a footy club, we learnt that early last year. We're losing close games of footy, and you can either, as you said before, go one way or the other. But I think the Swans will be really learning from those games and those losses. So that's going to hold them in good stead towards the end of the season. And I reckon they'll get their season going this week against the Dockers.
I agree with you. And it's a good point. They are, because they've been in both games. They could easily be 2-0, and they're obviously not. They're 0-2. Yep. So that's a positive for any Sydney fan. So I agree with you.
All right, let's talk about your game on Friday night against the Pies. It's actually your anniversary. Is that correct? Footscray's anniversary?
Yeah. So, thanks for the lead in, mate. It is an enormous day for our footy club, and obviously you're a past player. I'm obviously a current player. So it's a special moment for the Footscray Football Club. We've obviously renamed ourselves this week back to our original name, which we're all very proud of. Obviously, it's a 100-year celebration. So I could be getting this wrong, but I think in 1924, we won the flag in the VAFA, maybe. I don't know what it was called back then, but it wasn't the main comp. We then got accepted into the VFL, which was 1925, and hence the 100-year celebration. So it's going to be a very special day for the club. It's our home game. So obviously, the MCG, we never play home games there, but we've got a home game there against, obviously, the very formidable side in the Magpies. It's going to be it will be the biggest crowd that the club's ever played in front of in terms of a home and away crowd. Definitely our biggest home game that we've ever had. So, yeah, really embracing the week. We're going to probably have some cool things come up in the next couple of days with past players. I know there's going to be some past players there in celebration. I know there's a jersey as well on our Guernsey. We've got like a celebration, I think, symbol here. I don't know exactly what it is, but there's 100 games milestone, 100-year anniversary, whatnot. So excited about that. The game itself, obviously an enormous game for us. We're going to be coming up against a team that is just, dominated against a team that's going to be a very good team in Port Adelaide. So, a very ominous warning for teams that are going to come up against the Maggies. So, yeah, fully expecting it to be, it's meant to be a hot day, so which that tends to lead to it being pretty dewy and slippery out there. And watching last week, it was pretty slippery at the MCG. So I reckon it's going to be very hot, very contested, especially early. It's going to be a lot of stoppages. Really excited about, what we can bring. I reckon, if we can really stop their slingshot footy, which they brought last week in waves, and it was almost unstoppable. We're clearly going to scout that. If we can stop that, it will go a long way to us hopefully getting the job done. I mean, it's a great, as I said, I'm going to keep saying it's just a great opportunity. There's boys that, have never played in front of 40,000 people, mate. So the fact that we get to run out there against the Magpies in front of hopefully 80,000, it's a really cool opportunity for a lot of our guys to showcase their stuff.
I totally agree, especially some of the young boys that are playing potentially their second game or 20th game, whatever it might be, which you have a few of in your team at the moment. So exciting times ahead for your youth and the way that the club's heading, and I'm sure it's going to be a cracking game on Friday night.
Your game Sunday, which I actually didn't know was Sunday. I swear you guys always play the Eagles at the Gabba too, don't you?
We didn't play them there last year. I don't think we played them the year before, but.
Well,
it's a real weird, mate. It's a weird time slot, this one. It's 12:10 for us on Sunday. It's 1:10 your time, but 12:10. Have you ever played at 12:10?
Well, not at the AFL level, no. That is a weird time slot. 12:40 is probably the one for us when we go to Adelaide, but never 12:10.
Yeah. Mate, 12:10. So I'll be at the ground at 10 o'clock in the morning, getting ready, getting strapped, ready to play. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be like playing juniors again.
You'll be done at 3:30. Go for a shop at the shopping centre, and you have your night, mate. You don't usually get a night or whatever after a game. So, that's exciting. Must be excited. Obviously, it's your first home game for the year as well. So you want to celebrate in front of your fans, and the flag unveiling, I would imagine it'll be.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so unfurling the flag before this one, and it's going to be a good game. I mean, the Eagles would have been disappointed, and I know they've gone on record to say they were very disappointed with their performance against the Suns on the weekend. And so we'll be expecting their very best, and we know that they've got some really good recruits and some good personnel already in their team that they've had there for a few years now. So really looking forward to this one. It's a good challenge for us after a really tough game against Sydney, and a few banged up boys. We had a couple of injuries that are touch and go for this week. So it's going to be a really good outing, hopefully for us. But a lot of work still to be done before then. And just looking forward to the challenge. It's another game that we get to go out there and try and prove ourselves.
I agree. I'd imagine that it's going to be a pretty big week / game for Lachie Neale. And the reason why I mentioned that is a couple of reasons. Obviously, he got tagged quite heavily last Saturday, but I reckon it's worth you mentioning what you and I spoke about. Obviously, we debrief our games and on the phone, and you debriefed your game to me, and we're talking about the players, and you were saying to me about how proud of Lockie you were in terms of just how I guess just the he's very selfless and knowing that he's going to cop a tag and basically have to play a sacrificial role where he can help out his team as much as he can, and obviously he did that in spades on the weekend.
Yeah, as you said, I was very proud to be playing with him on the weekend and proud of him for the way that he pretty much put the team first. And, that'd be hard as a player of his caliber to cop a tag and sort of not give in, but just go, righto, I know it's not working for me today. What can I do to help the team? And he did that. The whole game, he was consistently telling myself and Huey and a few of the other midfielders, like, boys, I don't mind. I'm not touching the ball. I don't care. I don't care about touching the ball. I just want us to win. So tell me what you want me to do. And that's what you want from your skipper and your best player in the team, like the best player in the competition. So, it was a very selfless game from him, and I'm sure he'll be really looking forward to bouncing back and getting into some form this Sunday against the Eagles. But, yeah, more importantly, I just reckon it's just a great thing to have around your footy club and the culture that just builds it. So we're very proud of Locke for the game that he had, even though he didn't have the impact with the footy.
I love to hear it because it's a nice reminder for people who listen in that the caliber of Lockie, and he has every right to run, I guess, try and taste the footy and play out a role and whatnot because of how good of a player he is. But for him to do that and be as sacrificial as he was, it just speaks volumes as him. So someone you want to play with week in, week out. But yeah, no doubt he'll bounce back, and look forward to this one, mate. I'll be watching this on Georgie's birthday. I'll make sure she's watching with the Brisbane Lions jumper on, mate.
Does she have one, does she?
There is a Brisbane Lions one here. Yes, I think it's one. You must have given her one because there's one here, mate. I don't know how she's got it because I didn't give it to her. So, you must have given her one. So I'll get her to wear it for you on her birthday, mate. And hopefully you can kick a goal for her. If you can kick a goal, give us a G or something.
How do you do a G? Like that.
Yeah, like that. There you go.
G.
There you go. You
G
heard it
Georgie.
here first. You heard it here first. G for Georgie for kicking goals. So, but good luck, mate. Hopefully you dominate.
There's one thing I want to talk about before we completely move on, and that is there was a favorite horse of yours that retired today, and I'm sure you'd love to talk about it.
Well, Bella Nipotina.
Yes.
What a gun. Yeah. It's sad. It's sad when you again, you watch the sport religiously for 2 years and you see great horses retire. And like even recently Pride of Jenny retired, and now Pride of Jenny's back and had an unbelievable win on Saturday. I'm not sure if you've seen that, but my goodness gracious me. Well, if Pride of Jenny's going to run like that every week, then she's definitely back with a bang. But yeah, Bella Nipotina, superstar horse. Craig Williams, very fortunate to ride her all the time. And I think she, something like $12 million. Oh, no, I think it's about $22 million in prize money. Multiple Group 1 wins. Just a superstar horse.
Very sad moment when I saw that today on the phone when I flicked on the Instagram this afternoon. But yeah, very, very impressive horse. And I hope we get to see more of someone else like that in the future. But moving on, mate, I've got our giveaways that we talked about last week, and I want to announce the winners. So I've actually gone with 6 winners this week. So we're going to send a hat out to all these people. So Lockie, Amy, Stefan, Erin, Riley, and Lissa, you're all going to get a message on your Instagram DM. So make sure you check that and send us your address so we can send those through, which would be pretty cool. But this week's challenge is going to be you've got to go to our YouTube video and send me your best curly question for Adam. So I've got a curly question here that I'm going to ask him right now. But next week, you've got to send in your best curly questions because I don't want to have to come up with this every week. I'm going to have to ask everyone that I know for a quick curly question.
Yep.
So are you ready for this week's one, mate?
Absolutely, mate. I'm always ready. It's my favourite time of the week.
All right. So this is Tipper. This is Tipper's idea, this one.
Oh, nice.
So she said to me before, when a conversation is dying, and you have nothing else to say, like you've said it all to someone, how do you get yourself out of the conversation or out of the area? What do you do?
Well, going to take this from one of my favourite comedians that I've ever watched, and he's an Australian comedian by the name of Carl Barron. And it's the old, anyway, I better get going. So that's what I do. I just say, anyway, I better get going. It is a hard one. It is a very hard one because I've been in many of those situations, but
mate, I reckon you're in those situations nearly every day, and you're chatting to someone, and it might be whoever it is. It might be one of your teammates, and you're just like, "Shit, I've run out of things to say. What do I do?" Like, jeez, I don't know.
My go-to would be anyway. I better get going. I've got something on. It's a good one. I'd love to know what Brado's would be.
Yeah, Brado, what do you reckon?
I'm pretty similar. Or like you look off into the distance and you go, yeah. And then you hope that it's like they get the vibe that it's awkward and they go, yeah, anyway. And then you duck off. Better get going. Got to see a man about a horse.
It's good.
Oh, shit.
That's what Carl Barron's like. It's like the double hair going. You know when you see someone and you go, like someone you don't really know, like you don't really want to talk to him. Not that you don't want to talk to him, but you don't really know. You just go, how you going, mate? Yeah, good. How you going? And then, yeah, mate. So how you going? So you say it twice to him. It's happened to me a lot of times. Yeah.
Geez.
Quite funny. No, that was good. That was good. I can't wait to hear. I can't wait to hear what the listeners send in because they'll send in some rippers.
So you're going to have to comment on our YouTube videos, your best curly question for Adam. And then each week we'll do that every week and we'll choose the best one. And yeah, I'll send you out a couple of signed hats, which our winners from this week are going to get very shortly. But that's it, mate. I think we're done.
Hang on. I got one more thing. I wanted to bring up a bit of NFL news that I just wanted to, I wanted to hear what your reaction was because I reckon you would have seen this. How's the Bengals signed Jamar Chase to a $161 million deal and then signed T. Higgins to a $115 million deal. And at the same time, they're also paying Joe Burrow the highest quarterback deal of all time. Is that just not crazy? They've given up all their money for 3 players.
Didn't they put a franchise tag on T. Higgins? Is that right?
They did, which I'm not, again, I need someone to explain to me exactly what that means because I never understand what that means. Doesn't it mean you just can't get traded or something like that? Or
you can't leave, essentially.
So what's the difference between why wouldn't you just put it on your best players?
Well,
like Jamar Chase.
That's what they did. I don't know because they already had it on someone else because they put it on T. Higgins last year and this year.
Well, there you go. Well, anyway, that was crazy when I seen that. I mean, it reminded me of my challenge of trying to get a reply of some elite sportsman out there, and I still have had zero luck. No one has replied to me, so I'm still waiting.
Why don't you try Smoking Joe? You said he replied to the Essendon boys. Why don't you just try him?
Oh, yeah, true. I want to go one bigger. I want to be, I want someone to be like, whoa, he come back to me. I'm still waiting for Derrick Henry. Okay. I'm really holding on to hope that the king sees my message. Some bloke who plays professional football down in Australia, he'll come along and imagine that, mate. Imagine rocking up to the club. No one expects it, and I'll walk in with Derrick Henry. How would you react?
That's just not going to happen. So I wouldn't even bother thinking about it.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Oh, well, we better wrap it up, mate, because we're talking shit.
Anyway.
All right, wrap us up,
Have you got anything else for us, Brado?
Well, it seems you're talking about the king. He's just been dethroned. Danger is no longer the pres of the AFLPA.
Yep.
Yeah, happy with the replacement in Darcy Moore.
I'm not really surprised. I feel like he was probably the next in line.
Did you put your hand up?
Not a chance.
Nah. I did get the email before, and I thought about. I thought who else would be going for it, and Darcy Moore's name was straight to front of mind, and then I saw his name there was a new president. So I'm sure he'll do a good job for us as our main man.
He's a very smart lad. You're going to have to tell him to dumb down a few things that he's saying to appeal to a few more players, I reckon. There's what about the new Tassie mascot? Did you see Rumman?
No, I didn't. Oh my goodness!
You haven't seen it?
He looks like a pinata.
Yeah, genuine. Looks like a genuine pinata. The way
I am googling it now.
I did search Rumman. Rumman is it's like a Tassie way to describe someone that's a bit weird and different, but it's like an endearing term. It's not like a negative term. A Rumman.
Isn't ramen noodle soup?
Yeah, ramen.
Ramen. Oh, yum. There you go. It does look like a mascot. It looks like Rattata from Pokemon. I know you'd be a Pokemon fan, Brado.
Yeah, no, I get that reference. That's a good reference.
Or Eradicate the evolution. Josh is like, wrap it up. Anyway, let's get going.
One last one. International rules is coming back in 2026, or that's what they're talking about. Would you go over to Ireland to represent Australia?
1,000%.
Yep, for sure.
Isn't it, from what I believe, am I wrong? Isn't it you have to be an All-Australian?
Don't know.
Wasn't that the criteria, Brado?
It's a good point. Well, obviously the Indigenous team, that wouldn't have counted. But I'm kind of wondering, was it like Campbell Brown All-Australian? Because obviously he played and got wiped out.
I think he was. No, the only reason I say it is because one of my friends said to me, actually, that international rules is coming back. You can play it now. That's what he said. So I don't know. Maybe there you go, mate. Maybe you can have that for us next episode.
That's a good one. I did think that your bloom was going to be prior to Jenny. I don't know. I had a feeling.
Oh.
Ran well.
I'm glad I proved you wrong.
Joshy, ran well prior to Jenny. Jeez Louise. Anyway, wrap us up, mate. Oh, well. Anyway.
We'll wrap it up there. Make sure you send in to all our fans out there. Make sure you send in your best curly question because this week's one's had a bit of a good vibe to it. So make sure you send it in. We'll get the giveaways out there. And yeah, thanks again for tuning in.
This episode is brought to you by our friends at Brooks Blooms, your all-in-one landscaping solution.
Brooks Blooms' 3-step landscaping experience offers a seamless journey from design to construction and ongoing care, ensuring your outdoor space thrives year-round.
Visit brooksblooms.com today to embark on your landscaping journey, where every step is a step towards a vibrant and beautiful outdoor entertaining space.